Well, I'd like to welcome into our Shepherd Home Health and Hospice Studios the District Attorney for Western Oklahoma, Angela Marcy. Good morning.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
Oh, I'm here and I'm great and I'm fired up because what a perfect day to have you here, because the last 2 days the Supreme Court has handed down some major decisions, some that affect us personally, some that maybe not, but we have strong feelings about. And so, I get to put on your legal hat and kind of talk about that, if that's okay.
We can. Con law in a law school takes a whole year to teach, but we can do it in about 15 minutes.
I like it. Also, I was just kind of curious what's going on. You just had a couple of jury trials yesterday, right?
We did. In Custer County, we had a misdemeanor jury trial, obstructing officers in the performance of their duty, and had a guilty verdict in that case and a just sentence, we believe. And then we also had a jury trial on a felony trafficking in fentanyl.
Ooh.
And got a guilty verdict in that as well, and a prison sentence on that for the offender as well. So
good.
Yeah.
Throw them in the pokey. That's what I like. Lock up more people. That's what I'm all about. You know me. So.
Well, I think the jury recognized that there was a fentanyl dealer that we needed to get off our streets.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good work. Good work at the DA's office.
Thank you. It wasn't me. It was a couple of my assistants. John Barnes handled the misdemeanor, and Blake Blanchard handled the felony drug trafficking case. And
great.
So I supervised and kind of helped out in the background.
Nice. Also, I just kind of, and I know you can't speak to, all the great details on this, but we still have a lawsuit going on in Ouachita County. The assessor's office basically sued the county over budget issues, I guess. That current assessor was actually defeated in the election, but of course doesn't change office till November or January. Yeah,
January. Yeah, and elections do have consequences, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm not involved in that litigation,
right,
because as the lawyer for all the county officers in the county, when one officer sues another officer or the county, I'm legally not allowed to represent anybody.
Yeah.
Because the law doesn't let me, but there would also be a conflict of interest, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why everybody had to hire outside counsel. But I can tell you procedurally that it looks like there's a motion hearing scheduled for July 15th.
Okay.
And no, July 16th.
Okay.
At 9:30, and then it's on the civil pretrial docket July 30th. And so, also interestingly enough, just commenting on the timing, probably more than the election even, we're now in a new fiscal year. And so this lawsuit is about the budget for last fiscal year. And so everybody's working on their budgets for this fiscal year now. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, really interesting. And then in the meantime, you've had like a crazy lady try to bust into the chambers of a judge and also the assessor's office. So you guys have been doing something about courtroom security, right?
We've been looking at that. We were actually looking at it before the incident happened and just kind of having some preliminary discussions about it. And then that incident happened, and then there was another incident that followed shortly thereafter. And it just really, both of those incidents really highlighted the need to go ahead and take some action. Nobody wants to limit access to our courthouse, like doors that people come in. But that may ultimately be what we have to do, where we have one door that the public comes through so that everybody can go through security, kind of like we do in Custer County at this point, or even Beckham County. So
I just hate it for my home county, because as a child, riding my bike downtown and then just, we're going to go through the courthouse. We're going to climb up the stairs and down again. I mean, that was just, and now it's all like, well, got to go through a metal detector. But that's the world we live in now, right?
It is. And it is unfortunate, because I grew up in the same time frame that you did. and it makes it really hard. But you have to make hard decisions sometimes when you're looking at not just the integrity of the building for the people that work there, but the people that come there for to pay their taxes, or if they do have court, or to deal with a land matter, or to vote even. Our election board is in the Ouachita County Courthouse, and that's where people go to vote. And so you have to keep those types of places safe, not just for the people that work there, but for everybody who has to come there, and the public in general even.
But the sad thing is, I guess, not knowing what the budget is like in Ouachita County, but they don't have a lot of money. I know the sheriff's department probably doesn't have enough deputies as it is, and I guess it kind of falls on them, right,
it does.
to do that, right?
Statutorily, the sheriff's office is responsible for providing security, and you do have issues not only with funding resource, but personnel resources, hiring the right people to do the job, because not everybody can sit at a desk all day or wants to sit at a desk all day waiting for somebody to come in.
Yeah. Well, maybe I could retire early and you guys could deputize me, and I'll just sit at the metal detector with a gun. And
I think you might need to go through a lot more training than that, Todd.
Oh, do you have to do cleat and all that
before I
stuff?
give you a gun?
Gosh.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
She's taking my guns away. No, I'm just.
I'm not taking your gun away. I'm just not going to give you one for the county.
Okay. Talking with District Attorney Angela Marcy. Okay, let's quickly try to break down some of these Supreme Court decisions, because pretty big decisions handed down yesterday and today. Now, birthright citizenship is getting, so much of the headlines. And, once again, John Thomas, this is me speaking, utter disappointment as Chief Justice, probably the worst Chief Justice we've had in a long, long time. But, cited against birthright citizenship. So basically, if you come here illegally for any reason, or just you visit our country and you have a kid on American soil, they're absolutely a citizen. Is that what the 14th Amendment actually said back in 1863?
I think I'm not surprised by the decision when I heard that Roberts is the one who wrote the decision, and it does stem from this executive order that the president issued,
right?
And ultimately, the court ruled that the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, prohibited that executive order, or the executive order ran afoul of the constitutional amendment. And, it was a 6-3 decision. I think it's important for us to think about, I don't think the language, obviously, in my opinion, I look at it very conservatively, but the Constitution has not changed. What has changed is society. And so I take a very conservative approach to my analysis or review of the Constitution. And,
your original intent, right?
I really do kind of look at it more from that standpoint. I think it's really important to know what was going on at the time that it was written. And I do realize that, I don't know that our forefathers could have envisioned some of this that's going on. But in that area, obviously we had a lot of people coming from other countries when the Constitution was written.
Yeah.
And so I do think that at least that part had to be in their mind.
Well, Wong King Arp is really the guy that screwed everything up, because, 14th Amendment, I said 63. It was actually 1868. And it was 30 years later where we had another case argued in front of the Supreme Court for this Chinese child that was born. His parents came here, lived for 5 years, and they used this term, and that's what I want to ask you about. I'm starting to get into the weeds, but they said the reason he was able to be an American citizen because they said his parents were legally domiciled here. Okay, but legally domiciled. They weren't citizens, but they had lived and worked here. And I saw Roberts, I think, quote that opinion in his decision. But if you come here illegally, or even just a short time for a visit, that's not the same as legally domiciled, is it? I mean,
No, I mean, if you're just here, if you're not here legally or you're just here on a visit, it's not your domicile.
yeah.
But and I did not read the entire case or anything like that. I mean, there were multiple cases that came out, but you do have to look at ultimately this country was founded on a nation of immigrants.
No question.
And so the founding fathers would have known that.
Yeah.
And I realize that some of that language pertained to freeing the slaves
Right.
and things like that. But we also have to remember how we're founded.
Yeah. Well, once again, John Roberts fails again. First Obamacare, then this. Thanks a lot, Roberts. Can't believe you were appointed by a Republican. Just kidding. All right, stick around. Lots with Angela Marcy right after this break.
Hey, Western Oklahoma, are you ready to jam? Wild Plum Jam Music Festival is taking over Sayre City Park on Friday, July 17th for a full night of red dirt music and summer fun. Enjoy bands Pat Green, Casey Donahue, Tyler Wilhelm, and Presley Hale. Gates open at 5 p.m. Music starts at 6. You don't want to miss out, so bring your lawn chairs, grab some food from the food trucks and Watering Hole Beer Garden. Enjoy an unforgettable night under the Western Oklahoma stars. That's the Wild Plum Jam Music Festival, Sayre City Park, Friday, July 17th. For more info or to get tickets, find Wild Plum Jam 2026 on Facebook or dustbowldays.com.
Hello, this is Rick Spain with Infinite Grace Ministries with something to think about. Time is the most valuable commodity in life. How you spend your time reveals your priorities. People who reach their potential and fulfill their dreams determine and act on their priorities daily. Time is like money. If you don't decide how to spend it, someone else will. Consider what is important, make this a priority, and time will begin to work for you and not against you.
Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro, the best in friendly small-town customer service, hosting everything from fresh hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef made in-house, along with fresh fruits and vegetables, grown and made in Oklahoma nuts, candies, salsas, pickles, and more. And don't forget to check out the Variety side, full of unique made-in-Oklahoma gift items. And now, treat yourself to the brand-new ice cream and coffee parlor, your new go-to spot for a sweet scoop or a fresh brew. Shop Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro.
David, do you need a new dishwasher?
I don't need a new dishwasher right now, but if you do need a new dishwasher, Bosch is the #1 ranked dishwasher in the U.S. They're extremely quiet. They offer superior cleaning performance. They're reliable and durable. We are Bosch Direct, so we will not be undersold on any dishwasher here that you're looking at.
Financing available, 12 months same as cash here at Topfest. Topfest and Bosch. Get your dishwasher today. That's Topfest on the corner of Main and Custer in downtown Weatherford.
Guess who loves your dog even more than you do? Fleas and ticks. Right now, their bags are packed and they're ready to hitch a ride on old Rover right into the heart of your home. Don't worry, Rover, you're still a good boy. And thankfully, C4 Spraying has the solution. No more pests, no more stress. Just targeted, effective, eco-friendly treatments for both inside and out. Fleas and ticks, spiders and bed bugs, termites, roaches, and rodents. If it doesn't pay rent, it's got to go. Payment options available. Contact Derek Chisholm or visit c4spraying.com today.
Welcome back to the Western Oklahoma Wake Up Show, brought to you by Priority Home Medical Equipment. Todd Bruner, and our guest is District Attorney Angela Marcy. We're kind of breaking down some rulings from the Supreme Court. Another one, John Roberts and a few of his friends got wrong. Mail-in ballots. So now the Supreme Court, I'm paraphrasing, so correct me if I get this wrong, but now as long as a mail-in ballot is postmarked by Election Day, even if it takes a week to get to the election board, and then don't talk about how long it takes them to count them in places like California. Basically, that vote is going to count. So we will never, ever again get an election decided on Election Day, right?
Kinda. So really, in this decision, what was being challenged was Mississippi's grace period for late arriving mail-in ballots, and they had like a deadline. It had to be received within 5 days of the election. And ultimately, Justice Barrett wrote the opinion, and there was a challenge to that law. And ultimately, the court said that, yes, that's really more of a state, that the federal, we get to say what day the election happens, but the states get to decide when the ballots have to be received by. And so basically it upheld Mississippi's statute, and there are about 18 other states that have similar statutes, but Oklahoma doesn't.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really, really important from the takeaway is this isn't saying that the states have to grant a grace period. This is just saying, hey, it depends on what the state law is. And there actually have already been some tweaks to some of the state laws to maybe avoid some of the issues that you're talking about. So, but Oklahoma's state law, basically ours has to be received by the election day. And so I'm glad that Oklahoma's law is very specific on that, because it requires us to go through the process, make sure you get the ballot in the mail in time. You have to, and what's crazy is I just went through this process myself for the primary that we did in June, and it was the first time I'd ever done it. And it was an interesting process. I mean, it's very specific. They send you very specific rules. You have to prove your identity by going to a notary.
Yeah. And
the notary has to verify your identity, and then you have to put everything in the mail, and it's very clear, has to be received by election day.
And other states, correct me if I'm wrong, other states don't even have the rule about notarizing. I mean, you basically, some of them even send ballots in the mail, and you just send them back. And that's where people like me are, questioning, fraud and things like. We saw a case, I think, in California where they uncovered a homeless shelter. They were paying homeless people at this shelter to fill out these or they would fill out the ballots for them and give them money. Now, maybe that's 300 doesn't change an election. Maybe it does, but it opens up the potential for fraud in some of these states.
I'm really proud of Oklahoma's election system.
Yeah.
I think we get it right. I'm not going to say that mistakes don't happen, because some people, you have the human element involved, but Oklahoma has a very secure election system, and then you also have a really good check and balance, because obviously we have the state election board, and then the counties have their individual election boards, and then your district attorneys like me, like I have to be involved if issues arise. I have to look at, for example, one of the new legislative pieces that went through several years ago to avoid the situation you were talking about. If it's if you have 10 or more people registered at a particular address, the election board has to report that to the DA's office, and the DA has to decide whether an investigation needs to occur. And so with this last election, I had one of the election board secretaries report quite a list to me of 10 or more living in Beckham County. They were like multi-unit housing, apartments, nursing homes, retirement centers, trailer parks, mobile home centers, and they were not, we didn't have any evidence that there was like fraud or anything like that. But it was reported. We looked into it.
Well, once again, this is one of those situations where now Republicans tend to be more on the states' rights side. But I think if you ask average Republicans, we'd like to change federal election laws where you can't do mail-in ballots or received after the day. But do you think we'll ever get to national election laws and it won't be left up to the states? Because as you mentioned, every state is different. I wish everybody could be like Oklahoma, because you're right. We do do it well here.
Yeah, I doubt that we'll ever get to a national election law. I don't know how they would be able to enforce that, number one. The reason that we went to the mail-in ballots and the absentee ballots had to do with our military who were serving in different wars. And so I think we'll never get completely away from that. I do think that the individual states could shore up their election security if they wanted to.
Well, see, and it's Mississippi again. We've been touting the Mississippi miracle for, their reading scores and all this stuff, but then they screw up elections. And so, once again, it's going to start biting us in the butt. I mean, we've even seen it the last couple of presidential elections. It used to be 10, 11 o'clock. We knew who the president was going to be. But now, more and more, because California and places like that, I mean, you can usually guess how they're going to vote, sadly. But, we're not going to get results for sometimes days after the election. And I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Mississippi actually has already changed their law. They did it in 2026. Yeah, and so it'll apply going forward and won't apply to the prior elections, obviously. But now Mississippi will require absentee ballots to be received the day before the election.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, there's some other states that have changed theirs too. Virginia set a 3-day deadline. Noon on the 3rd. Let's see. Receipt postmarked by Election Day to 5 p.m. on the 3rd day after the election.
Wow.
Kansas changed theirs. Now it has to be by 7 p.m. on Election Day.
Yeah.
So you're already seeing across the United States, states changing their laws. Of course, these are primarily going to be more conservative states, although Minnesota now requires absentee ballots to be returned by 5 p.m. on Election Day.
Wow. Shocking. So,
yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
So,
there's changes. It's kind of interesting, the absentee ballot thing. It kind of goes back to, we have this thing in the law called the mailbox rule. Once it's put in the mail, it's considered an acceptance or the request. It's a legal thing. So it's kind of funny. And we have to deal with that sometimes with other issues like land protests and things like that, and whether protests are allowed. So
wild.
It's kind of interesting.
Well, that's why after all of this, and hey, the Supreme Court did get it right on a few things like trans athletes and president being able to fire people, which I think he should be able to fire everybody in the federal government.
Except for the Fed
yeah, except
chair.
for the Fed Reserve, which is really weird how they carved that out, but I don't know. Powerful people with powerful friends on the court. But anyway, Amy Coney Barrett has been a disappointment. John Thomas has been a disappointment. So I am personally nominating Angela Marcy to the Supreme Court when I'm elected president, which will never happen probably, but,
Yeah.
That's the only office I would run for. I tell everybody I would never run for office because I like just making fun of politics all the time. But I would possibly be president just to change.
Just to make some changes.
Yeah.
You would start issuing executive orders then.
No, my executive order would be all previous executive orders from all sides have been rescinded. Congress has to act. Okay. And I would only serve for 2 years. I wouldn't even serve a whole term. I would just say, I'm serving for 2 years. Congress, you're going to get something done, or I'm going to punch you in the mouth, like they did in the old days.
You heard it. 2 more years. We're gonna see Todd on a ballot.
District Attorney Marcy, thank you so much for coming in and putting up with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate your legal expertise. All right. Let's see if we've got John Matthews, another constitutional scholar, joining us.
Oh, Canada. Happy Canada Day, Todd.
It's Canada Day. Didn't they get knocked out of the World Cup?
Yeah, but that's okay. They're fine. They, formed in, what did I say, 1867, something like that? I didn't realize America was older than Canada. Which I guess I mean, they were French first, but there was.
British, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole thing.
But they're doing fireworks today too, so we can celebrate with fireworks today, then July 4th this weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love it. And of course, we still have the World Cup going on, and we have America.
Tonight.
USA, the real America. I mean, all these other people, we say South America, Central America. There's only one America.
Did you see South Korea returning home? They were getting booed and throwing things inside the airport at them. In fact, they threw dog toys.
Was it the K-pop people like BTS throwing things at them?
They claim they weren't protesting the players. They were protesting the South Korean Soccer Federation or whatever. But the coach resigned on site.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.